Welcome into Before Floor, an extension of 5 on the Floor here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Sponsors, as always, by Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure you check them out when you're at the arena, when you're at Marlins Park or Lone Depot Stadium. I finally said that correctly. You can get that Biscayne Bay Brewing. Also, it's at Whole Foods. It's not just at Publix, so check it out at Whole Foods. Get the IPA. That's my suggestion, but I know a lot of people like the Marlins Lager and all the other beers that they sell, so make sure you check those out, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Also sponsored by our friend Lynette at Aggressive Insurance. Aggressive Insurance. You can find her at 954-581-8800, 954-581-8800. Everybody needs car insurance. Why not get it from somebody competent who also happens to be a huge Heat fan and is on our streams, right? The insurance agency that works for you. You got a bad driving record, she can fix that for you. So, well, she can't fix the driving record. There's nothing we can do about that. You got to drive better, but she can get you decent insurance. Trust me, I know someone who has the worst driving record I've ever seen. She got her insurance. Couldn't fix other things about her, though. All right, let's get to today's topic. This team's almost whole, Brady. I mean, no Depot, but everybody else is playing, it seems like, except Iguodala, right?
Right. Andre Iguodala is the only one, which I expect him not to play on many back-to-backs going forward. They got one Friday, Saturday. I'd probably expect him to sit one. They just got to, be careful with him. Now that they have Trevor Ariza, they didn't have many, deep rotation at that wing spot. So now that they have it, at least, reliable guys, and they can go that route and save him. But now Tyler Hero is intending to play, going through warm-ups right now. And then Jimmy and Bam are going to play. And
Dwayne Dedmon is playing also, which was a bit of a question because he was in the protocols, but he is going to play. And we'll see what happens there. Okay, now you mentioned again Iguodala. We've expected some of this. I would anticipate maybe Akpala gets some of those minutes tonight. Hopefully they can figure out what to do with him. He's good at the top of the zone, but some of the stuff offensively, a little questionable. We have been having the Hero versus Nunn debate. Get to see them both on the floor here tonight, Greg. So some of this will play out. What are we? Two players I'm interested to see how they come out tonight. One is Bam, because we know that there's a thing with Pop. I remember talking to him about it in training camp before last season, all the way back in West Palm Beach in like a year ago, October, with all the politics that went into that. People actually thought that Pop kept Bam off the team as a favor to Riley to stir up some passion in Bam. I don't think it was exactly that. I don't know what other explanation there could be to play a Plumlee ahead of him. But even so, I'm expecting a Bam game, but also, let's see what Tyler has tonight, right? As much as what Ira and I said got taken out of context all over the damn place and spread all over.
It's sure national.
I'm sure Tyler. I can't say anything. I can't. I can't say anything. It's okay. I'm gonna try not to talk the rest of the night. Greg, Hero, what do we expect?
I hope he's confident. That's just what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, and I hate to, and we always say this before we talk about it, so it's funny that we do this. I don't want to be body language expert, but I'm looking for him to just start to regain some level of confidence, especially he was showing improvement getting to the rim at the end of last season. And even to start this year, I want to see him get back to that as much as possible. Kendrick Nunn, though, he's averaging 16.7 points and 55% over the field last 9. So he's still going to do his thing. Derek White for San Antonio has been killing it lately. So I'm interested to see who guards him. I think he dropped 25 on Indy the last I checked. So they're playing really well. They beat Indiana. I think they thumped Phoenix by 26 recently. So this is not going to be an easy game, but the Heat are almost whole.
The Heat are almost whole. We talk about random scrub Heat killers. I feel like San Antonio has some good players that people don't know about and that are going to be called random scrub Heat killers tonight, Jonathan. But against this team, it's a weird Pop team, right? It's not a typical Spurs team, but he's kind of transitioning them for the future. What are you afraid of tonight?
I'm afraid of us maybe using the zone and then them beating us from all over. Like you said, they have a lot of players that can fill that role. They're actually, over the last 2 weeks, have 6 guys that average in double figures, right? That's kind of a Miami Heat-esque kind of thing where they're sharing the ball. They're actually number 1 in assist to turnover ratio as well. So they're doing a lot of things right as far as moving the ball, making it a team game, still staying true to what Pop is, right? Maybe with a different unit, right? Not having like a Tim Duncan, a Manu Ginobili, even a DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge. They're moving past that now. They're moving to the younger guys, the Deontay Murrays, Derek Whites, who, like Greg was saying, on a tear over the last 2 weeks, shooting 44% on 7.5 attempts from downtown. So watch for him to go off from three-point land. So I'm really just afraid of them having a game where they share the wealth, they share the ball. Miami's behind on the rotations, and then they end up beating us with the pass.
Yeah, Colin mentions Patty Mills. People still cold sweats about Patty Mills going back several years here. Brady, DeJounte Murray is, again, I feel like one of the more underrated players in the league right now. It just a point guard who does it on both ends, but does not get a whole lot of attention. Like the Heat would love to have a player like that, to be honest. What do they do? They don't have Oladipo tonight. None on him to start?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor Ariza guards him. They do that now. They trust him more. Even I think if Victor Oladipo returns, I think you're going to see Trevor Ariza on point guards a lot of nights, even over Victor Oladipo. They trust him in that position. He looks even more comfortable in that position than even guarding his wings and his guys his size. So I do think that's like the only way. And as Jonathan mentioned, zone probably won't be the route tonight, so they're going to have to just guard up.
All right. Let's cycle back to you, Greg, on this. I feel like we've said this a few times, but I really do feel like with most of the roster playing, including their sort of core 4 or 5 players, that the stretch run begins tonight, right? In a lot of ways, like I don't feel like we're going to see a lot of guys resting. I mean, they'll do the back-to-back thing with Dragic on occasion, obviously, and Iguodala, but I feel like they realize it's go time. I mean, the Knicks are not losing lately.
No, you're right. Like,
right?
I think that's such an important point. And LaMelo Ball looks like he's, about to return. They've won 2 in a row, and now they're basically getting Jimmy and Bam back, which I think, like, this is when you're going to see those guys put their heads down. And, like, I'm expecting those guys to really set the tone. And then you look at the schedule after this game at Atlanta, Chicago twice, San Antonio again. Flip the page and it's Cleveland, Charlotte, Dallas, Minnesota. Like, you have a stretch here where you can get some games. So I just feel like this is the run. Let's finish out the season 10-4 or so, and we'll be in the 4-5 matchup. And yes, I'm still saying we. I'll never stop. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's okay. I won't. But I mean, cycling back to you on this, Jonathan. We talk about where you want them to finish and how we want them to go. I feel like getting that win Monday against Houston, obviously, not against the best roster, but the fact that they got it without everybody playing pays a lot of dividends this week because they were able to buy an extra couple of days for Jimmy in particular. That's going to be important, right? I mean, they need to. I mean, we talk about Dragic a lot, but they need to keep Jimmy fresh, particularly if they end up in a play-in. Oh, did I lose?
There we go.
Yeah.
I was saying it's really important because almost the entire season when we didn't have our star players and it was just the depth, quote unquote, playing, we would lose those games, right? It wouldn't be relatively close. We wouldn't have enough offensively. But against Houston, we played a lot better. We were able to execute. We were able to move the ball. Duncan played a lot better. Nunn carried the team, offensively on the scoring side of things. And it just showed that we actually have that depth and we can kind of rely on it now. Like you said, it's really important, especially come for this playoff push, to keep everybody healthy. So I think coming into this game, having those, the stars healthy, I don't want to rely on them too much. I want to have like a really good, nice overall game. I want really good bench scoring. And I think that's what would be ideal going into this playoff push.
How many back-to-backs? I saw that question.
There's three sets left.
Okay, 3 sets left. They've gotten through a lot.
And the last 2 are the last 2 days of the season at Milwaukee, at Detroit, and the times are to be determined because they try to sync up all the games so that the standings, kind of come together at the same time.
One thing to look at with Milwaukee, and Ira and I talked about this on the show, you would think that they'd probably rest guys at the end because they're probably going to be locked into the 3, we think. Although Harden being out could change that. But with that being said, remember, you're going to get a week's rest after, because of the play-in. And so I think that teams may not rest their stars as much the last week of the season. You may play Giannis to the end, keep him in rhythm, and then give him the week off. So I don't think you necessarily guarantee the fact that these guys are going to take this time off. All right, let's cycle around here. This is one of those games to me that feels like everybody's back for the most part, other than Oladipo and Iguodala, and that the Heat should be positioned to kind of win this thing. But I don't know. I just have this bad feeling that there's going to be 4 Spurs that Heat fans don't know tonight. That just go off. I mean, because it's a Pop team coaching against them. And Pop tends to make things hard on your stars. And so maybe things will be difficult on either Bam or particularly Jimmy tonight. We'll see. Brady, do you see a win tonight?
Yeah, I do. I think, whenever Jimmy is out for a period of time, I think partly it's because of rest, but also just coming back with that different mindset. He always comes out strong. And it's never with shutting him down with opposing teams. It's just about him initiating offense early and getting to where he wants to get to, putting his head down, getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line. So I think that's going to be important to watch. And another thing, just a small thing, I think it's going to be interesting with seeing him and Dedmon on the floor, because obviously they haven't played together much.
Sure.
I think that's an important thing, just to kind of see how they mesh together because they've been staggering Bam and Jimmy, more and more throughout the season. One of them is exiting at the 6-minute mark, basically in the first quarter, taking one out early. And now, that's going to be an important thing if they can get those two working well. But I do think, they haven't played well in San Antonio over the years, but I do think they get a win with fresh Bam and a fresh Jimmy.
Jimmy guard DeMar tonight, we think, guys.
I would think
so.
I would assume, right? I mean, he knows this game very well. Jonathan, I'll go to you and then to Greg and Alejandro tonight.
Yeah, I think this is a game that we really can get. We've come off of 2 back-to-back wins where they're really morale boosters. And we saw going into those games that we kind of were hanging our head down low. We were on a little bit of a slump. So getting 2 back-to-back wins, we got to remember these players are people too. They have their heads hang high. They're coming in with a little bit more momentum, a little more, chemistry, especially coming off the bench. And I think we can get this win tonight.
All right. Jonathan's sitting in that Vertigear chair. Make sure you guys get those. Use the code 5.
Me too.
5RSN. Greg is as well. 5RSN. Make sure you use that with Vertigear. As is Brady. I have a Vertigear chair. It's sitting here in the living room, but I still need to construct it properly. You want to see it? It's right there. It's right there. It's a great chair. I just can't I just can't get it to go up and down because I screwed up.
Operator error. That's what we're going to call it.
Not the fault of the chair. Literally, we got 14 chairs. 13 of them were constructed correctly. Greg, I'll go to you and then Alejandro.
So I'm going to give you guys some facts. Miami is 4-28 all time in San Antonio.
Oh, yes,
so
I've been there for
sucks.
a lot.
It's by far the Heat's worst road record. It's actually the Spurs are only better against the Nets at home. So that is always something to think about when you're in San Antonio. But this season, the Spurs have lost. They've only won 12 of 30 at home. So they're not a good home team. Let's get it. The Heat are getting this one.
Alejandro, what'd you say?
Well, I just hope this is not like the Timberwolves game, right? When we all thought, well, they should win by 20, and then they just didn't do that. So yeah, I think they're gonna win tonight.
That doesn't sound confident.
The thing is with this team, you know what happens. Not even Brady thinks they're gonna win by 10 most of the time. So especially against these type of teams, they tend to play down. So that's the thing with this Miami Heat team.
Yeah, I don't like them tonight. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe
you're taking San Antonio plus 1.5.
I would take the money line. Here's the thing. It's basically PTSD, okay, for me, because I've been in that building so many times and watched the Heat get massacred. The 14 finals are still in my head, and being in that, I was there for the no AC game, okay? I was there. I was sweating my ass off at 115 degrees, looking at Howard Beck saying, did something happen in here? Did one of us forget deodorant? And then basically we get into the locker room. It's literally 140 degrees in that thing because we know they shut off the AC. And the players after that game, they didn't even bother to shower because they knew when they went into shower that they would be like drenched as soon as they came out anyway. That's my experience in San Antonio. I just have I got a bad feeling. The Spurs remind me of the Hornets, who the Heat have had a lot of problems with this year. I'm taking the Spurs by 7. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Insurance. Well, maybe that means they win. InsuranceByLynette.com, PrizePicks.com. Use the code 5. Go on our website. Get our T-shirts. By the way, if you want our T-shirts, go to 5reasonsports.com. There are people stealing our shirts, okay, and posting them. 5reasonsports.com. Make sure you have them. Thanks to Jonathan. Thanks to Greg. Thanks to Brady. Thanks to our producer, of course, Alejandro.
He is going to warm up with the intention to play. He is feeling better. The couple of days of treatment served him well.
And Andre, is that just, again, 37-year-old player? Got to be cautious?
Yeah, his hip was sore, and we anticipated that it would be. He wanted to play, in the back-to-back, and ended up playing him close to 30 minutes. And he was simply fantastic in that 2-game set. I really enjoyed watching him, particularly in the Houston game. I just thought he had great control of the whole game. On both sides of the floor. But he was sore, and I think he'll feel better, after a couple of days of treatment.
The team, in reaction to what happened yesterday in Minneapolis, was there a meeting? Was there a discussion? I know you guys have had very candid discussions. Can you sort of take us through the last 24 hours from the emotion of what happened? Thank you.
Yeah, I think everybody had a heavy heart and some form of anxiety and anticipation of what the verdict would be yesterday. We did talk about it in our team meeting this morning. They were able to express themselves. And you have mixed emotions about it. On the one hand, you feel great that there has been accountability and a step in the right direction in terms of equal justice. But then, you still feel very saddened that it took the loss of life, for it to get to this point. And there's still, I think we all can agree that there's a long ways to go. There has to be a lot of work to be done, and everybody, is going to have to, be united, to make real change. And I still think, my thoughts were, well, what if there was never a camera phone, to capture that? But how would this all have played out? So you feel for the Floyd family, that this isn't going to change anything or bring George back, but at least it's a small step in the right direction.
Next, we'll go to Jason Jackson.
Coach, thank you for those thoughts. As it pertains to Jimmy and Bam, the plan obviously worked out, or seems to have worked out, in trying to get them a little further down the line from a healthy standpoint to be ready for this trip. Are those boxes checked for them? Yeah, they both did a great deal of treatment, the last 48 hours. They passed all of their protocols to be able to play, and they're ready to go. I think everybody in the locker room understands, the challenge and the opportunity with this road trip. For Duncan, with the way he's shooting right now and everything that kind of is piling up, and we all saw him with the run that he's on with consecutive makes in multiple games. And one thing that kind of shocked us all, at least it did for me, is that he moved past Dwayne on the all-time list. And while Dwayne wasn't an incessant three-point shooter, it obviously was a part of his game, but it speaks to obviously what you talk about with Duncan all the time, that this is a all-world elite shooter who doesn't need a lot of time to pile these types of numbers up. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Dwayne is the problem was his head coach wouldn't let him shoot threes. Certainly not enough of them. It shows you also how much the game has changed. Dwayne was a really good shooter too. Like if his head coach would have let him shoot threes, he might have even played 2 or 3 more years. But with Duncan, yeah, he is. He's one of the very best shooters in the entire planet, and his game continues to grow. I think you just look at 6 weeks ago, he was shooting 40%, and everybody was saying that he was having an off year, compared to last year. That's the bar he set for himself, and he's not shying away from that. His game continues to grow on both ends of the court. And I think he'll continue to become more dynamic, as a shooter and a different kind of cutter and playmaker.
Next, we'll go to Jim Conlon with RCB Radio Ireland.
Hi, Eric. Just in relation to tonight's game, you come up against one of the real top scorers in DeMario Rosen, but you have one of the elite defenders in Jimmy Butler. As a basketball coach and a basketball fan, are you excited looking at that potential matchup there tonight on court?
Yeah, I think what we're excited about is both teams are fighting for their playoff footing. Both have the same amount of losses. And these games have great context to them. So there's great competitors on both sides of the floor. They're unique in the way that they drive and attack and catch and go and get into the paint. They're arguably the best in the league at that. And DeRozan spearheads that game. He's very relentless and clever in his ability to draw fouls, savvy, but they have a bunch of young guys, perimeter players that can attack and get you on your heels as well.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Coach Eric Spoelstra earlier today talking about not only the matchup tonight against the San Antonio Spurs, but also the verdict on the Derek Chauvin trial that found him guilty of murdering George Floyd. So let's continue with our pregame show, and thank you to all of you that are just getting here. Here in a second, we'll have the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight. But before that, let's go ahead and listen to Greg Popovich, who also talked before this Miami Heat San Antonio Spurs game that we will have tonight starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's go ahead and listen to Greg Popovich.
Thank you, sir. Well, let's go ahead and get started with Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press. Tim.
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, Pop.
Hi. How you all doing?
Pop, I wanted to ask you about, obviously, your thoughts on yesterday and specifically, those 2 hours, I guess, between the news breaking that a verdict was coming versus it being read. You could just sort of feel tension everywhere. You could just feel tension and anxiety and apprehension. I guess what does that kind of say? That I guess there was a lot of concern about how this thing could have gone and what it would have meant. What does that sort of say about where we are, do you think?
Yeah, it's an important thought. All of us had, nervous bellies, and you think about what's gone on in the past and how little accountability there's been over the years. So you're cautiously optimistic that some, form of justice might happen, but you're not totally confident. And I think that's if you're a white person. People of color, I have to believe, had even more nervous moments and anxiety and probably doubt about what was going to happen because of the past. So when the verdicts came down, you saw, the joy just kind of explode in people. And, I had a friend who mentioned to me, he said, it's a relief for all of us that it seems like a bit of justice has been done. But imagine being a 70, 80, 90-year-old Black person who's seen so much ugly in their lives in every way, shape, and form, socially, economically, etc. And then add COVID on top of it to see all the disparities. What a joy it had to be for someone like that to see this outcome in this trial. And then when I thought about it some more, I think it's a time to understand that that was maybe a victory in a war that's got to continue to be waged in the sense of demanding equality and justice and rights, because it hasn't happened yet. And when it was shown publicly, the statement that the Minneapolis police came out initially, if you read that, it's scary. Basically, it's like nothing happened except a man died. And if you look at it and you read it, it's a headline from the Minneapolis police. It's like, done. Nothing happened here. But for that video and the outcry that came after, we wouldn't have been there. We wouldn't have seen this trial. It probably wouldn't have happened. And so how many times has that been the story over many years? So it tells you that, this incident in some ways was a respite from the carnage. that has gone on, seen and unseen, which means there's so much work to be doing because it is structural, it is culture, it is recruiting, it is accountability, or these things wouldn't happen. You know, the hubris that was displayed by this man, the disregard for any accountability that might happen at all, just the lack of humanity, the impunity that you see in the act and in his face tells you that there's something wrong culturally, structurally, because it happens in so many places. It's happened with so many people. And so, you know, the police unions have to be held to task. We can't listen to the bull crap anymore. The argument about defunding, you know, whoever came up with the defunding phrase was ignorant because it's just used now to fight against accountability for police departments. You know, I mean, even here in San Antonio, our police chief has basically got his hands tied behind his back because he knows what's going on. He knows what's right and wrong about the department, but the arbitrators have the power. So the police unions, they use power in a way that does not protect and serve in many cases. And they have to be, the power has to be taken away as much as possible, just like with the NRA. But we can't believe, you know, and deal with the tactics they've used over the years, whether it's, you know, personal assassination, like in the case of Cheryl Scully, or calling out defunding, which is deceptive. It's a lie. Just like Trump's, you know, the virus was a hoax. The election was stolen. And there are people that want to hear that and follow, and it's dangerous. And it causes death. And so I think that more than anything, we have to remember to be on guard, to call it out, that justice has not been realized yet, that was a victory. I'm thrilled for George Floyd's family, but he's still not with us. And it's because of the culture. It's not just a single one-off act of one man. We've seen it too many times. And police unions have to be called to task. We have to be brave about it and do what needs to be done.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tim. Let's go to Tom Orsborn.
Pop, I think you may have already answered my question, but early voting is underway here for the May 1st election. Proposition B is on the ballot, which would take away collective bargaining for the police. Just what are your thoughts on that? And, you know, have you voted and are you doing anything to help campaign for that proposition?
Well, I haven't voted yet. I will, but you know, Proposition B, you know, it looks like a step in the right direction. So, you know, a yes vote on that, I think is prudent, but it doesn't get you where you need to be. I mean, we're one of the very few cities in Texas that still has collective bargaining. I think there are about 3. I'm not sure, but I think 2 or 3 still have collective bargaining. We have to go further. People can't be intimidated. There has to be accountability. You know, and police unions work. Just think about that logically. You don't have to be a Republican or a Democrat. You're pro this, pro that. An organization that seeks as little accountability as possible should be a problem. There's a reason for seeking as little accountability as possible. And that's not good. It just makes sense. So we need to go further. And, you know, hopefully that can happen in negotiations. But Proposition B is the first step, I guess.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pop.
You bet.
All right, that was Greg Popovich, just talking mostly about what's going on right now in the United States, not so much about the actual game, the Miami Heat facing the San Antonio Spurs. But that's it. This is something historic, so I guess that's why they took the time to do so. So let's keep reading some of you guys' comments. Jermaine King says Pop is the best coach. Spud McKinsey didn't like the interview. That's fine. I mean, they have their voice. This is their platform, and that's what they decided to talk about. So that's why we have there the pregame show. Here's going to have another impactful game. Hopefully, that's the case for Tyler Hero. So now let's listen to the players while we wait for the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight at San Antonio. They're facing the San Antonio Spurs tonight around 8:30. Whenever the TV stations decide to start actually playing the game. So let's go and listen first to our friend Duncan Robinson, who had a great night the other night against the Houston Rockets.
Hey, Duncan. When teams are crowding the three-point line on you like they are every night, it seems like you're starting a lot of your sets now a few feet behind the three-point line. How much do you feel that kind of opens up the floor for you to get additional looks in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to guard me out there, then it opens up stuff for, myself and then also other guys as well. We have some really good players, and if they're able to operate in additional space, then it bodes pretty well for us.
Next, we'll go to Ira Winderman.
Duncan, I know there's been a lot of records along the way, but tonight you became the first Heat player ever to have 200 three-pointers in more than one season, and did it actually in 2 seasons that were shortened by the pandemic. What's this 2-year role been like for you? And if someone would have told you going into last year that you would have been hitting these heights, what might you have told them?
I mean, I feel like I've given this speech before, but, I've learned in my career not to expect anything. So I don't want to say I'd be surprised, but, I know I'm capable, and I've known I'm capable. It's just a matter of opportunity. Like with so many guys in this league, opportunity and situation, and I feel very fortunate to be in a great one here. So it makes it easy on me that I just kind of go out there, show up every single day, handle my business, try to be to the best of my ability, be a consummate professional. And in terms of the gameplay stuff, they just let me be me, let me be aggressive, and just see where the chips fall. So it's super humbling to be in any record book, but let alone a franchise like this. So I just, try to take it for granted, and I just want to keep it rolling.
And then on a night like tonight, where you were needed a little more maybe than usual just because of who was out, how rewarding is it for you and Kendrick and sort of the kid stuff to pay off so much?
Oh, I think it's huge. Kendrick was awesome tonight. So aggressive, and that's when he's at his best, when he's able to, play freely and have the ball in his hands. So he really stepped up. Obviously, with guys out, it was going to take a variety of people to rise to the occasion. I thought we had contributing efforts from a handful of guys that really made a difference. So, we'll take it. Definitely a team win. And, as you alluded to, Kendrick was great.
And then one last from me, just to see Kelly again, it seemed like there was a bunch of embraces there pregame. Just how nice is it to at least get a chance after the trade to sort of get to see him one more time in your home court? Thank you.
Oh, it was nice. Ko and I, we stay in touch. He was a great mentor to me, in my time in Miami, and, friendship means a lot to me. Avery as well, just speaking of trying to be a consummate professional, that's Avery Bradley, a guy who just showed up every single day, handled his business regardless of what his role was, regardless of what was asked of him, always taking care of his body, being ready to play, all that sort of stuff. So both those guys, learned a lot from those guys, and I hope that our friendships, go larger than basketball, and I expect them to.
Next, we'll go to Barry Jackson.
Duncan, even at the point in late March, you were shooting 39 to 40% for the year on threes, but since the trade deadline now, 59 for 120, which is just staggering. Have you felt freer at all? Has there been any change you felt in how the ball's come off your fingers or anything at all over the past 3 weeks?
Not necessarily. I try to just keep my preparation the same, my routine the same. Results and all that stuff. Of course, you guys are going to get caught up in that stuff. And of course, players are too, coaches are, and all that stuff. And I am, but I try my hardest not to just handle, what I can every day. Believe it or not, that's not always making shots. I can't always control that. But what I know I can control is just handling my business, trying my best to be a professional, trying my best to maintain a routine, keep everything the same. So nothing's changed in terms of that. I've maintained that, and obviously, when you see the ball go in, just mentally, it's nice, and confidence might go up just subconsciously a little bit. But I'm fortunate enough to have coaching staff and teammates that, regardless if I've missed my last whatever, they still want me to be confident, still want me to be aggressive.
And one other quick unrelated thing: the value of what Dwayne Dedmon is going to give you all, what he has over these last 2 games, Duncan.
He's been great. Just rose to the occasion when his number's called, and he stayed ready. That's the thing that I really noticed is even though those games early on when he wasn't playing, he was lifting after the games, doing what it took to stay in shape, conditioning, all that stuff. So you guys are seeing that behind the scenes work come to light.
All right, Duncan, thank you.
Cheers, thanks.
Right, that was Duncan Robinson a couple of nights ago after they beat the Houston Rockets. And now we have the starting 5 for the Miami Heat. It's the same one we had a couple of nights ago as well. Not the same one we saw against the Rockets, of course. We didn't have Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler that night, but they're coming back tonight. It's Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. That's the starting 5 for the Miami Heat tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. Again, the Miami Heat trying to fight for that 4th spot in the East, in the middle of a battle there with a couple of teams that we know already are going to be there, and especially the New York Knicks, who are now holding the 4th spot. So let's go back and listen to our friend Andre Iguodala now. Remember, again, right after the
Good
Houston
halftime
Rockets
speech by Spo or something, or what changed at halftime? What started clicking for you guys?
I don't think there's anything in particular. You make your adjustments, and they're a very young team, so they're trying to figure it out as well. But you stick to what works for you, and you do it more and you do it often. It shows throughout the game. So fix a few minor things, tweaks. The ball was moving, and even when there was mismatches, we still found where we were trying to get. And defensively, I think we stepped it up. That first half, they got a lot of over-the-top passes, which led to either a dunk or spray threes, and they had us all over the place with our reactions. And second half, we were proactive, and I think that was a deciding factor.
And it's not like you have anything really you don't need to prove anything, obviously, Andre, but do you enjoy these nights when the ball finds you a little bit more and you get to maybe take a few more shots than you usually would?
It all depends on the flow of the game. For me, it's just a flow. And, quite honestly, I've been tired for a couple of days now. I was tired yesterday. I was tired today, but I didn't even shoot before the game. And you just have those. You take yourself to a place mentally that it's a little bit more ease. It takes some pressure off yourself. Just being a little older, so I tell myself just think the game, play smart, and think of it like playing in high school on a Saturday morning where you meet your friends and you got something to prove to your friends and you just having fun. So. I'm always enjoying the success of the guys around me. So I'm trying to help them up their level of play, try to, see any way that I can help them be better. And, games like this happen.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Ira Windermere.
Andre, with so many guys out, Jimmy and Bam and Tyler, it seemed as if you were the stabilizing influence on the first unit and Goran was the stabilizing influence on the second unit. You've been on a bunch of teams. How important is it to have that veteran presence, especially when you're asking so much from younger guys?
Well, yeah, that calm is very important. And I've been on different positions with different teams where I'm leading the first group or leading the second group. And you can feel it, when the game gets erratic and everybody's just all over the place. And then you can feel when it's organized, when there's a calmness and guys are comfortable in their position and, how I can take pressure off them, whether it be in the dunker at the 4 or handling the ball up top, getting us set up into our play. So just been playing for a really long time. And like I said, great relationship with all my teammates, know where they like the ball, know where they like to be on the court, knowing where they like to score and trying to set them up and in turn, that makes them a threat. And with every guy being a threat, the offense is hard to guard.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Barry Jackson.
Andre, you've been around Kendrick now for a little over a year. What do you like about his game and the groove he's in, the way he's playing right now?
I like that he's ready. Whenever his number's called, he's his career, coming from college, coming here and having rookie success and then get to the bubble and have some hiccups with trying to get to the bubble and then get to the bubble and, being an odd man out. And, this year, our depth, it's not in everyone's favor at times. And the way he's responding every time his number is called, I think is a great thing for a guy that young, never gets discouraged and always ready to play. And then, he's from Illinois like I am, so always rooting for him. And he's a quiet kid. So he's professional, and he's professional beyond his years in terms of his approach when things may not be going his way. So he'll have a lot of success, and he'll be in this league a long time.
Next, we'll go to Christos Saltas.
Andre, how important for your team was to react in the second half of the game tonight, and what it means about your depth as a team?
Yeah, you talk about a guy like Dwayne Dedmon. His presence has been felt, since yesterday when he was inserted for, some important minutes, and just the way he's a force down low. It allows us to be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter. It's specifically Trevor and myself, we can get a little bit more active and get a little bit more deflections, knowing that if we miss on the gamble, he's got our backs covered. So, that's one way. And then you look at a guy like Max Strauss, who I've never seen a guy make his first shot every time he gets in. Tonight he broke the streak, but normally he comes in like late in the third quarter, not expecting to play, always makes his first shot. So, that's our culture, guys being ready to go, and guys wanting to leave their mark on the game. And tonight was, one of those nights where we had a lot of guys leave their mark.
And next, we'll go to Mateo Mayorga.
Hi, Andre. What kind of advice do you have for the Rook after a tough shooting night from the field? Precious was 4 of 11 tonight.
Keep shooting. I mean, he started off really good. He had like 7 or 8 quick points, and understanding he got us off to a really good start. We got off to a quick lead, and him diving to the basket and finishing opened up everything else for us. So he has to understand, when he's scoring, that may turn into him being limited because there's going to be a lot of focus on him. And in turn, he's got to continue to do the same thing to take a man or take out an extra guy for his teammates. So you're sacrificing yourself. So may not still show up on a stat sheet, but your presence can be felt in a multitude of ways. And he just got to keep sticking with it. Keep watching the tape. Keep watching Dwayne Dedmon. I've been telling him that. Dwayne has been excellent, and he can see a lot of growth there. And he's got some good coaches who will push him along.
All right, that's it. Thanks, Dre.
Yep.
Right, that was Andre Iguodala a couple of nights ago after the win against the Houston Rockets. Let's go now and find. Let's go and rewatch or see again the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight. For all of you that are fighting in the chat, focus here for a little bit. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. That's the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight. Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. Those are going to be the guys playing tonight for the Heat from minute 1. So let's go ahead and listen to Kendrick Nunn, who actually had a pretty great game against Houston, and we'll see if he can do it again tonight.
And we'll start with Christos Saltas.
Hello, Kendrick. Great game tonight. What kind of responsibility for you was to make a step up tonight and lead your team without Jimmy, without Bam on the court, and how you like the way that you react on the second half of this as a team?
My job tonight was just get us going. Offensively and defensively, just get the momentum going, bring some energy, and I know guys will follow. We did a great job tonight. We could have picked it up defensively, but we had a strong game, a strong finish too. So I'm definitely proud of our guys and the way we got that win tonight.
All right, next we'll go to Ira Winderman.
Kendrick, with so much talent and veteran talent on this team, there aren't as many maybe opportunities. Did you look at this game and say, okay, with Bam out, with Jimmy out, with Tyler out, a little bit more might be needed? Is there a little bit of sort of mindset change back to when you were leading man at different points in your career?
I it's always needed, even when they are playing. I believe everybody has to come ready and with sharp focus in order to get a win, and that's our job. We got it done tonight. We did a great job tonight, man. I'm just happy for our guys and the 2 games that we held down here tonight at home.
Does it sort of feel especially nice with the young guys, and I don't want to say other guys, not to be condescending, but that to show Bam and Jimmy, you can take a night off. We got this for you.
No, not necessarily. I don't ever look at it like that. I always want to contribute as much as I can, no matter who playing. I'm just about winning, making winning plays, and getting a W for that day.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Brady Hawk.
Hey, Kendrick. Going from playing next to Duncan in the Summer League last year to being inserted into the starting lineup together to now playing a game like this where you're kind of asked to step up without Bam and Jimmy, how have you felt your guys' chemistry has kind of increased over time, just bouncing off each other offensively?
Yeah, the chemistry is great with me and Duncan specifically. I think I've been playing with him since Summer League, like you said, and I know where he's coming off on screens and things like that, and I just try to deliver it on time for him and get a good shot.
All right, Kendrick, that's it. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
All right, that was Kendrick Nunn, also a couple of nights ago. And before we go, we actually want to play here the shoot around. That's the shoot around. That's a little segment that our friends Gadiel and Ariel do here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. They also post them on their actual Twitter accounts as well. Gadiel Cartagena and Ariel Atias here on the 5 Reasons. So let's go ahead, because this is a fun segment and I like it very much. It's very short, quick and sweet. So, and they analyze the Heat games every day before they play. So let's go ahead and listen to them.
Around, the Miami Heat, shorthanded, beat the Houston Rockets 113-91. It was a pretty satisfying game. Ariel, any takeaways from this game?
Yeah, it was a good win for the Heat. I mean, they were really shorthanded, like you said, a lot of guys missing, but we're at a point in the season where, like, you need to get wins. You know what? It doesn't matter if guys are in, guys are out. Like, you're in a tight playoff race. You're trying to improve your seeding and playoff matchup for the first round. So I thought that was a good win. It was good to see the Heat's backups and some of the role players really step up. Kendrick Nunn was great. So good win for the Heat.
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn was fantastic. He's been playing really, really well, earning whatever minutes he gets moving forward, assuming he gets some. But the Heat played tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. This should be a pretty interesting game. How do the Heat come out of San Antonio with a W?
I feel like this is a game that the Heat go to the zone a lot. You know, they've got some good one-on-one players, but nothing crazy. They're a bad three-point shooting team, though. They're bottom 3 in both three-point attempts and three-point makes. They're bottom 3rd in the league in three-point percentage. So I think you try to contain dribble penetration, keep the ball swinging around the horn on the perimeter, and make them take threes. If they're going to beat you that way, then that's how they're going to beat you. But I think this is a game where the Heat bust out the zone.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense with the length. Assuming the Heat are healthy, the length of the zone could really give them a lot of problems. I know they have DeMar DeRozan who likes to get to his mid-range. So if you can try to mitigate what he does in the middle of the floor, then you have a pretty good chance. And obviously, you want to try to make them shoot. They are really bad at corner threes. I believe they shoot 33% from corner threes, which is not good. And they shoot about 35% from above the break, which is also relative or way below average, honestly. So like you said, zone, honestly, perfect recommendation for this game. Bust out the zone, see what happens. I think the Heat should be able to take the ball into the paint. Yes, Jakob Poeltl is a pretty good rim defender, but they give up a ton of attempts at the rim. Since the trade deadline, I believe they are 3rd in attempts allowed at the rim. So go ahead and try to get those attempts. I think Bam and Jimmy getting downhill is going to be really important, assuming that they play. And do the Heat come out with a W tonight?
I think they come out with the W. They attack the Spurs in the drop. A lot of mid-range jumpers get to the rim, and they get the W.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, this would be, 3 in a row? It'd be some pretty nice momentum after what was the world falling down against the Timberwolves.
All right, that's Gadiel Cartagena and Ariel Atias. You guys can watch that here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel, of course, and also on their Twitter accounts if you follow them on Twitter as well. Also, we have a new show here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. It's called Feel the Heat with Alana and with Michael. You've seen them in the Clutch Corner shows and also in the post-up, and you're welcome to go check it out here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. We just posted the first episode about a couple of hours ago. So go ahead and check that out before you go watch the game against the San Antonio Spurs tonight. This is the starting five for the Miami Heat: Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Trevor Ariza, and Bam Adebayo. That's going to be the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. Remember, we will be doing the live score here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel, and we will have the post-up show as well right after the game is over. So thank you very much, and we will see you later tonight.